Lilia gets taken, actually, over the Taliyah. So they're going to give KT Rolster Taliyah Kai'Sa. And, I mean, you can take the Samira here. In fact, I would say, I strongly suggest taking the Samira here. You know that scene in Austin Powers was like, I suggest you hit, sir.
Oh, man. Did you watch that movie recently, or, like, referencing it every day?
No, I didn't, actually, but I
love it.
started thinking about it with from the Franklin, Udyr judo chop moment.
Well, it's good. I love the addition. And is Taliyah actually going to be overlooked? Have we made it to this point? And it looks like we have. I mean, with the Hecarim pick here, I don't think we're going to see a Taliyah lane at this point in time. So both teams have just decided, okay, no Taliyah. KT say we have a composition. We can go Azir Hecarim with Kai'Sa, and it's going to be even better. So why mix it up? Yeah, Victor kind of fills that same role. UCal is feeling the Victor this time around a little bit more. Actually, the Azir is banned, so...
Yeah, Azir is banned, but this is a very similar role, right? And UCal is so good at surviving in team fights and actually almost baiting teams in with his positioning and then controlling choke points. And both the Azir and the Victor work so well for him on that. And he has been the player in the LCK who's played the most Victor out of anyone. And he's jumped up, you know, even though it was a controversial POG vote last time, he's really getting up there in terms of POG points this season. And this is a champion that you let through, and it feels really good for KT Rolster because now they have a comfort pick on both the Victor and the Hecarim, because Blank has played a ton of Hecarim across his career, and in the LGL especially very recently. So it's definitely a pick that he's very comfortable on, and perhaps he's just not feeling the Taliyah at the moment and wants to have more team fight control. And that's where this draft is heading for KT, rather than kind of some early game tempo advantages, which I like to see because KT know their strengths, they know their identity, and sometimes you don't have to draft for the meta, you don't have to draft for the tier list. Sometimes it's better to draft for your players, and that's what we're seeing here so far.
Absolutely. I think this kind of a pick ban in a different series, it would just like never happen, right? Like,
yeah,
if it was even one different team, like if we just had anybody else to replace one of these two teams, it would have looked entirely different. I think we would have seen the Taliyah picked up much earlier on, you know, Taliyah Samira or something like that, or just a first pick Taliyah, give over Kai'Sa. This is very much kind of tailored to these two teams. So I do like that you have mentioned that. The Rel gets banned away, that's very obvious, as DRX did prioritize picking the Orianna for Solka instead, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
You know, even if they ban Orianna, you can just kind of go Syndra and feel still okay with it. But even so, they're still going to have the set available here for Becca.
Yeah, they really are liking this set pick. And it's been a big favorite for Becca. It's been a way to potentially isolate and kill a target. And maybe they're still kind of focusing in on and honing in on maybe we can eliminate UCal in these fights early. That's kind of been their goal in a lot of these. Obviously, the early game, last game, the focus for the Nocturne was on Blank because of how the jungle was going. But they really feel like they can make this set work in team fights. And I haven't been really convinced so far as we see the Alistar come through. Strong pairing there in the bot side. You know the matchup at this stage and can be pretty safe against the set. Now we're going to find out what's the last, question remaining is what's the top matchup with the bans we see on Gragas and Gnar taking away two stable, safe jungle picks for Doran. It's hard to blind pick a Gangplank here, which is another one of the strong picks. And, I mean, Shen is one of those picks that is just almost unkillable, gives you extra roaming potential, but Doran doesn't look happy about it, but we're going Aatrox.
Doran's like, oh god, why do I have to play Aatrox? Oh, I would have loved to see the Shen, oh man. Just the synergy with the Alistar, the Hecarim, you can save your carries, right? Even the Kai'Sa going in, you've got taunts for pick potential. I would have loved to see it, but not going to be the case. And you saw that Doran was just kind of like, man.
Yeah.
We have Jace here as well.
There was even a hover on the Vayne. I really think that is probably not the best idea, but something that I've been waiting to see. I feel like we will eventually see someone try the top Vayne in the LCK. It's hard. It's not an easy pick to pull off, but they decided to go with the Jace, which is a more stable pick. And Doran, this Aatrox pick puts a lot of pressure on Doran to play more aggressively than he normally does in the earlier stages of the game. So I feel like that's why he kind of rolled his eyes at it, was a little bit frustrated. We know he's capable of running this pick, and it offers a lot of extra CC in those early skirmishes, as well as just massive damage output. The composition for DRX is going to be slow. It's going to be about getting those shockwaves off, having that slow tick down damage with the Lilia and the Jace, and then Samira spinning her way to victory and ulting at the last part of the fight. This team fighting for DRX is very straightforward. I think it's very easy to execute in the late game as well, which is where they have historically been stronger. But on the side of KT Rolster, they got comfort picks across the board. Hybrids, Kai'Sa, Zeus's Alistar, right? A bot lane we've seen from them almost every time. Victor, his most played champion. UCal's most played champion, blankets the Hecarim. Like, it feels like KT Rolster, with the exception of Doran, are playing all the champs they want to play in any given situation against any composition. So it's a really nice test, I feel like, for KT Rolster here against a comp that fits DRX's late game strengths as well.
We'll see where we go from this draft, because I feel like I just teleported into a different patch or something. Like, this draft was really interesting, Wolf. And again, I'll say it, I think it would not have gone this way if it were two different teams or even one different team.
Yeah.
We would have seen a lot of different priority on many different picks. I mean, Talia is just totally ignored, not even banned. Like, I'm almost like thinking, like, was there just a ban and production like messed it up or something? I highly doubt that, but
yeah, it has.
This kind of a draft really makes me wonder, Wolf. You know?
It has happened before, you know, those types of things. But look, almost if this was BDD, like say this was Gen G's draft, I'd have a lot of questions, right? I'd be really confused, and it'd be just totally out of the box. But this is very KT Rolster flared, right? The Victor priority we see, the Hecarim priority is gotta get some sit-ups in before the game. You're not gonna be doing that in the mid game, so might as well do it now.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Victor is, I feel like UCal is not like he's really good at Victor, he's really comfortable for him. I think he's a fantastic Victor player. I think he might be the best Victor player in the LCK. I mean, I will go as far as to say I think he's the best Victor player in the LCK. You know, Victor's being played a lot in China as well, and a little bit in other regions, but this is like UCal's pick. This is a pick he's making a name for himself on so early on in this season, so early on in this year, and it's terrifying to see this pick come through against DRX, who struggled to position around these skirmish fights already once in this series against his Azir that they already target banned. So now, going to this game, like I foresee UCal at the top of the damage chart in post game, just because he's done this so many times. Like, should we really be surprised to see this Victor priority out of him specifically? No. Does it fit the tier list? Absolutely not. And like you said, any other teams. I mean, even as far as, say, like, other regions as well, other teams, like, this just would not happen.
Yeah. It's a very KT versus DRX draft, for sure. And very excited to see how it all ends up in this game. Let's see. Let's see how we go. I want to reserve judgment until I actually see the way that this game is played out. I think, as you mentioned, DRX, they should feel a bit more comfortable with this kind of a draft. I think that this will fit their play style a lot better. And we saw that Doran, he's not going to have a fun time here in the first couple of levels against Jace. Obviously going to get pushed in, but he has a very nice Aatrox win rate in the LCK. 13-4, I believe it was. About 76% win rate so far, so excited to see what he can do in this top lane here.
Yep, he's just going to have to kill minions under turret at the moment. That's okay. He's not going to miss many of these. Unless I just cast or curse him, but seems fine so far. Easy peasy. Kingan's just going to try to take some pot shots. And this ends up happening a lot in this matchup. Just ask Rich.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Nice.
We're getting really aggressive onto Becca here, and Blank is here for an early gank. No help for Becca, as he is actually going to try to flash away, but will not be successful at the end of the day. We also have the stun being charged up from the Alistar, but Bao will be able to dash out of there as a pretty aggressive rotation down to the bottom side gets first blood for KT.
This is fantastic too. It's on to the set, which is again something that I've had question marks about with Becca, how aggressive he is and where he's positioned. And this can really snowball things out of control for KT Rolster. Not that we're gonna see a really aggressive trade here. Not that you know, this means that suddenly Kai'Sa just destroys this lane with the serrated Dirk she bought and it's like unwinnable, it's unplayable. But it means that Kai'Sa has a really stable and easier path to the late game that she wants to be in. And it means it's a longer path for Bao to the power spike he's going to hit at 6, and then later on with the Immortal Shield Bow. Aggressive rotation here for Pyosik. Too late.
Just saying hello. Does a little twirl and then goes on his way.
It's very polite, this game, Pyosik, you know?
Yeah. He's not being as aggressive in the enemy jungle this time around, so Blank's pretty happy about that. Blank, I feel like he has some really incredible like team fighting, and he is a great player. There are just some moments where you're left scratching your head, and that kind of felt like the early game in game 1, but definitely looking to prove himself a little bit here in game number 2.
Pyosik's in trouble.
Yeah, Pyosik really going for this scuttle here is going to be punished as Doran just flashes on him and one-shots him. This is going to bait Kingen into a bad position as well, as he's not even going to flash. I mean, he's like, okay,
yeah,
there is no escape for me. I need to hold this flash for more lane dominance. But that's 2 early, more early kills here going the way of KT. And
I feel like the composition for KT is way better in the late game than DRX's, you know? I mean, there's a lot of damage output for Ahsoka in some of those late game fights and can, you know, look for some big engages with the Shockwave, but UCal is going to be a damage bot, as we're going to watch this exchange once again. As this is just a fight over a scuttle, and obviously Blank has more CC than Pyosik has at this stage pre-6, so there's no way out. Doran's follow-up is super clean, and Kingen just knows there's no way out of this. You can see Zeus and UCal are nearby as well, so there was never really any doubt. Very impressive rotation here for KT, but this lead means that this entire game for DRX is going to be on hard mode for the rest of time. I mean, there's never going to be a moment where they actually feel like they can relax. Okay, this might be a little bit overzealous. I love the sound effects, but you know.
Yeah, this time Blank gets to say hello. Just a little drive-by, you know, how you doing? See you later, probably. But not going to amount to much.
I mean, I suppose he might have, you know, if there was an overreaction, he might have gotten a flash, but I think that Sokka was pretty aware that he was going to be fine.
Yeah, Hecarim's not running flash themselves, so Sokka just kind of stares at him like, what are you doing here? Thank you for stealing away some of the XP from the enemy mid laner. As Blank is back down on the bottom side, and this time he's level 6,
yeah,
so this is going to look a lot different from what we saw in the mid lane.
Bao has no idea. They have no vision. They're going to get a flash and Becca.
Yep. Immediately they go for Becca. No flash here for the set, so that is a very easy follow-up gank. And now 2-0 for the Kai'Sa. The first pick here for Hybrid. KT are in a magnificent spot in this game.
And you could just see how comfortable Blank is on this Hecarim pick. He's rotating around non-stop. He's finding kills. They know the vision that KT Rolster has, or rather that they know that DRX doesn't have, is being communicated really well across the team. So he knows exactly where he can put the pressure on and where he can gank. And this is aggressive forward positioning out of Becca once again, where he gets punished on the set. And it's twice already in this game, but it's certainly not the first time this season. As Doran look for a really nice trade here.
Yeah, Kingen has his flash still, so Doran not going to look to push the issue. And, man, I mean, Doran just looking to get another solo kill potentially. He would love to take any pressure off of his lane as possible, as he is down about 10 CS after he clears that wave. Here's another look at this gank, though.
Yeah, Zeus just comes in and knocks Becca up, and there's no way out. They didn't have vision. And what was Becca hoping to accomplish in that bush? You know, pre-6, he can't. It's not like if somebody walked in there, he was going to get a big showstopper kidnap off and set up for a kill. I mean, unfortunately, like, even being in that bush and just sitting there means that you're too far forward when you don't have vision, which is hard. You know, it's hard because you're already down a kill. Now you're down 2 in this lane, and you want to make something happen. You want to trade this back somehow. You really need Bao to get that Immortal Shield Bow as soon as possible to control these upcoming Drake fights. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to put too much blame on Becca
he's been
But I don't like this set pick, so I'm kind of using this as my justification.
We see your real intention, Wolf.
Yeah, I'm like actually
like set.
I'm manipulating the stats a little bit for my own liking. Pray I don't alter it any further. No. It's hard to put too much criticism on him, but if you don't have vision and you're standing like that, like what are you trying to achieve is the real question. It just felt like grasping at straws. Could have just been standing next to Bao and farming under turret instead.
Yeah. The problem is if you don't stand in that bush, it's like, well, you're just
not doing anything.
Entire lane.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, sorry, Bao, you just don't have a support now. And I mean, it's like a lose-lose scenario, right? It's like, okay, I gotta hope we don't get ganked, otherwise I'm dead, which we saw. Otherwise, you know, Bao can't farm. So it's just a really sad scenario for the bottom lane of DRX. Now they're trying to aggressively rotate up to the Rift Herald tier. This is their way back in the game. If they can get this and try to take a team fight afterwards, certainly is potential for them. But you see that they are not exactly, you know, Becca's level 5 here. So is Zeus, I suppose. Both the supports not having a fun time. Great engage here. Becca trying to make something happen. A great shockwave does come in. But KT, they're not going to get over aggressive here.
Yeah.
Denied the actually
they did.
Val actually got in there
they got the
and picked up the objective. So at the end of the day, I thought maybe KT would have pushed the issue, but
I mean, they
playing it safe.
Yeah, they pushed the issue, but they weren't able to push the issue enough. Like both teams respecting each other a lot. I feel like an alternative option for KT. I mean, they were very hell bent on making sure that they denied that objective. Another option would have been, because they knew they had full vision that it was 5 members of DRX on the Herald, but have actually been to send Hybrid down a lot and just let him, you know, take away a turret plate and get another wave of minions. But they decided to commit, and they were unable to deny the eye nor the take gold coming through. So it was a little bit unfortunate for KT, but DRX making a really decisive play and looking to group up, which has been you know, hasn't been possible for them so far, and Hecarim has just kind of been running away with this game. I mean, he's 100% involvement around these kills, the 4 that KT have. So I appreciate that, you know. Let KT want to commit if they want to. You're going to be faster onto the. You're going to have that faster position. You're going to have that initiative to take that Rift Herald, and works out really well for them. And KT don't trade anything back.
Yeah. You know, it's a risk that DRX had to take. They had to be very aggressively positioned there to have any chance. And there's 2 responses from KT. Either you can try to group up and fight yourself, or you can look to push bottom lane, take turret plates, and get Hybrid even farther ahead. KT thought they had the better team fight, and they did, but it didn't really go very cleanly for them. So DRX, their risk kind of paid off, you know.
Yeah.
And if they get a bunch of plates from this, there is a chance that they come back in this game and make it even going into the mid-game, which would be pretty nice. Props to Bao, by the way. Even though his support died twice, he's still ahead on CS.
Yeah, he's ahead
after everything. So he's doing a really good job of just sticking in the game and continuing to be relevant as the Samira, which you're really going to want to scale. Otherwise, you're not going to really have a fun time.
Yeah, you need to be.
Against that Kai'Sa.
I mean, you ideally want to be ahead, but it could be a lot worse. And, you know, the next Drake fight in 30 seconds is going to be infernal. It's a pretty significant one, especially for DRX to take the damage they have on their team. I think that's going to make a really big difference earlier on in the game for them. And he is not going to have his Immortal Shield Bow, sadly, but he will have, you know, 6, and he might have positional advantage here with the vision control they have at the moment as this comes online. If DRX can take this Drake, I feel like there's a real chance they could swing this momentum back in this game big time. A little Hex Flash here from Becca. They're going to commit the Herald, try to add this extra pressure in to that Drake take. Look at where Pyoshik is already on top of it. And we have so much vision control here. It's so difficult for KT to contest, especially with UCal just returning to lane.
DRX have not gotten a single Drake in this series, and honestly, I don't think that's going to change here. I don't think they have any way of getting on in here. The teleport is committed to by Doran. And you see UCal is in the back line now trying to force this. Will flash away from the sleep setup. And now we have the big engage. So much was used onto UCal. And now there's no escape. Becca just trying to create room for Bao. Will be successful on that front. But KT still take the Drake. They take a huge team fight. Kingen doesn't even bother teleporting. He's like, you guys already lost that fight. Let me try to get some plates here to catch up.
Yeah.
I don't mind that decision, but KT still take a pretty big leap here in the early to mid game.
I think the plates and the decision for Kingen to push into the turret was decided before they decided to, when they decided to give the Drake, right? Because they started the Drake first, Pioshik was on it, it went down to about a third health, but KT Rolster grouped, and as soon as they saw the teleport from Doran, I think we're going to take a look at this again. Yeah, as soon as they saw the teleport from Doran, they were like, okay, it's not even going to happen. There's just no chance. And this is actually going to be the kill onto Solka in the mid lane. Really nice engage from Blank. Blank has had a fantastic game on this Heck Room. So Kingen is like, well, I mean, I already didn't commit my teleport. I'm not going to come down here. I don't think he was expecting to lose his mid laner, but I don't think there was any way he could have tried to teleport in. He had to do what he could in the top lane at least. And he was so much further ahead in the top lane, actually, than he is now. But that extra gold plates, or the extra gold from those plates, is going to be really nice for him. But it's only small things here for DRX because, you know, yeah, sure, they're almost 800 gold ahead in terms of the plates. Or I guess that's about 700, 650, whatever. I could do math on stream. Never supposed to do math as a caster, but...
Very dangerous.
640, okay, I did it.
640.
Yeah, 640 gold ahead in terms of the plates, but in terms of the objectives... they're just not hitting these fights early enough. Like they don't have the advantages they needed to have to win these early objectives. And just now, it was just bought for Bao, the Immortal Shield Bow, and there's 3 minutes of no objectives on the map for that actually to be powerful. What skirmishes can they force? What team fights can they force 5v5 to get value out of this composition that's built around the Samira? They missed their chance. They were just simply too far behind.
Yeah. We'll see how this Jace... you know, feeding priority essentially goes. He kept his teleport advantage too, so you talked about skirmishes. There's a chance they can force some kind of fight and have the TP coming in, but Jace is not, you know, some kind of like hard engage type of top laner, but still can make some fireworks happen, obviously. As Solka is going to get Chaos Stormed here. Just avoids that very nicely. Does miss the cannon, so I suppose that's the trade there, Cal. And KT say, well, we'll just take down Shirley here. There's not much that DRX can do at this point in time. Jace did get the top turret, which ends up being the first turret of the game. He still has the teleport advantage. And a low bottom lane turret as well on the side of KT. So let's see what DRX make happen here, especially giving away Shirley. You would imagine they would like to set up a play.
There's so much on the map still for KT. Like, the gold makes it look like this is a close game, but it's really not, because KT have just taken so much control over the objectives, and the team fighting we've seen from them has been so much cleaner. And, you know, right now, if you're DRX, you're like, okay, well, I've gotten everything I potentially could have in these trades where we're losing objectives, so you keep the gold even. But I feel like this next fight for DRX is their last chance to really swing the tempo advantage. Otherwise, it just gets harder and harder and harder the rest of the game. I mean, look at UCal's items. Significantly ahead right now. Already has his Leandries. And, I mean, when you're DRX in these situations, you have a lot of ways you can team fight with the comp they have. You can look to pick somebody early. If you're Becca, you can set up for a nice setup to have the Shockwave follow up. Pioshik can look for a sleep. Like, there's a lot of ways to make this happen. But the longer the fight goes, and the longer the game goes, the damage scaling is so good for KT.
Yeah, it'll be rough. I think they would have liked to push their advantage in the mid-game with Jace Orianna and, you know, try to get big extended team fights where you have Bao eventually coming in to clean up. But as you mentioned, late game, it's going to be rough against Kai'Sa Victor to do much. Also, you've got a pretty massive Aatrox, and the Heck Room's doing really well as well. So the pressure's on DRX, but the question is, can they do anything? You know, we have this Ocean Drake coming up. The DRX have not taken a single Drake so far. There's been 6, actually 7 if you include the Elder, that have gone the way of KT, and 0 for DRX. So maybe this is their moment. Maybe they try to get in here, but teleport advantage or no, KT, they have the pressure with the Rift Heralds. They have Doran rotating down. And they will be looking to fight aggressively as they look to take down Becca. A decent amount of chunk damage there onto him, but UCal extremely low in the mid lane as well.
Yep, this is DRX's chance. I mean, I really do feel this is their last chance. We have to see an amazing Shockwave here. Look at KT. They're actually just kind of cutting this fight apart. Actually, Kingen's getting zoned out on the top side of the map, and UCal couldn't be safer. Like, he could not be safer if he tried. where he is. They walk the Drake back into their advantage. Now, actually, though, there's a little bit of a zone out on the door, and if he's going to join this fight, it's going to have to be a teleport. And that's a really nice spot for that ball to be for KT trying to chase. Okay, there's the teleport. Look at UCal's positioning. He's so safe. He's going to do so much damage in this fight.
Yeah, it'll be hard to get on top of him. You see the ball positioning is specifically to zone away UCal, but Bao gets caught, has to dash away here. The poke is going to force DRX back, and that is going to be Drake number 8 in favor of KT. Now Becca trying to get an engage here, goes kind of Rambo, does catch 2, but here comes Zeus, and UCal over the wall goes Rambo, making a different meaning to that word. But now we do have Doran making so much magic happen. He's going to go down, though, as maybe KT went a little bit too far.
They certainly
on
did.
That one. Not sure about the kamikaze UCal in that fight, to be honest, but at least they got the Drake at the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, UCal has played like this a lot and survived and gotten away with it. He didn't have a stopwatch this time, nor Zonia's, obviously. We're still pretty early on in this game. And Zeus actually tries to make a heroic play here as well. As Becca comes in on the side, has a really nice face breaker. Zeus comes in with his Unbreakable Will and actually looks for a big play. But there's just too much damage output here as UCal is off on the side, and they wrap around and grab him. There's just too much damage output here for DRX. Bao helps clean up Doran with his ultimate. And KT, they had a great start to the fight in terms of positioning, but UCal got zoned out on the edge. And then Zeus tried to, I think, re-engage at a moment where it could have been actually more optimal to retreat for KT Rolster there. And this ends up being an opportunity for DRX to swing this game back. They lost the Drake, but they got a lot of extra gold there. That's going to be really helpful for scaling up. And you can see they actually know how to use their comp really well. It was actually really patiently done. You talked about the positioning there for the ball for Solka to help zone UCal out. They know how to operate around this comp and to play it slow. So that's a good sign, and this is where they get stronger. You pass 20 minutes, you pass 30 minutes, that's where DRX have had their most success. So that fight was, I feel like, a pretty hopeful one. If you're hoping for DRX to swing this one back at home, you're a DRX fan. That's proof that it is possible, even with all these cards stacked against them.
Yeah, and the thing for me is that UCal's such a great player, but I feel like he's got to calm down sometimes with the YouTube highlights. Like, it's always like, okay, I'm gonna 1v5 and go crazy. And he's good enough to sometimes pull it off. And he doesn't always go as crazy as he did in that last fight where he literally blast plants into 5 members of DRX. But that's rough. You know, you want to keep distance, right? If you are Victor, he was trying to get in on top of 5 of them so he could laser Chaos Storm and then potentially, you know, even if he dies, maybe his team turns it around. But like, they didn't need to do that.
Yeah.
Right? You got the Drake. You could just back away. Right? just try to disengage. You can laser them as they come into you, and you could probably get away. Maybe one of you dies.
It's just
that's fine.
It's just some greed.
You're still ahead.
It's greed.
You didn't have to do that.
Yeah,
you know?
it's greed, and it's a poor judgment call. Sometimes when you're as ahead as KT is in a game like this, and all these fights feel so controlled by you, it feels like you're invincible. Sometimes you start to feel like you forget what your objective is. You forget that actually you grouped up to kill a Drake, not wipe DRX and push for a Baron, right? you get a little bit ahead of yourself sometimes. Eyes bigger than the stomach, I think, in this fight for KT Rolster. Because they did not have a positional advantage to turn that. And their lead in terms of gold, and it might not have even been a lead, it might have been a slight deficit at that point. Their lead is not big enough in terms of items to just faceplant, as you say. But still ahead in this game despite the gold deficit, and they have the opportunity to grab this Cloud Soul, or Ocean Soul, excuse me. Yeah, I always get those confused because the Ocean one actually kind of looks like a cloud to me and feels very rainy. I associate it with clouds.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
That always trips me up. I mean, the other one's very obvious, right? But yeah, they can take this fight on their terms. They have Soul Point, and if they decide not to fight it as well, like, there's so much more onus on DRX to stop this than there is on KT Rolster to force it. So that's the real advantage here, not the 1,000 gold. Especially with a comp that's so comfortable for KT that they've played so many times. And Zeus has had his moments. I mean, I feel like he definitely overextended in that last part of that fight, where UCal was kind of off on his edge as well. I feel like he is a really great Alistar player. and it's, you know, one of his comfort picks.
Yeah.
And I do fear for DRX when he actually gets to kind of take the reins of how these engages go.
Yeah, I don't really blame Zeus too much in that last one, to be honest, but, you know, it is what it is. There's a ton of damage and poke on the side of DRX, and this is what I was talking about before. This is like their power spike, right?
Yeah.
The Jace is really fed. Orianna's got a couple of items. You have the Lilia for some ranged engage. You're going to be poking people out. I think KT would like to have a decent engage here.
I feel like they should back
You can
away.
see the poke that's coming out.
Yeah.
It's pretty rough for KT to deal with. We'll see if they still commit to this. Zeus looking to come around the back. And DRX should know about this. They're going to see him now, and here we go. Zeus has to pull the trigger, gets into the backline, but there is zero follow-up. Blank is getting poked out as well, and there goes down the cow.
This is so
The
forced.
shockwave is going to miss. Bao is going to come on in. There's the double kill for him, as a very wonky engage comes in from KT, a bit desperate, you could say, and DRX very calmly just going to take down their first Drake.
It was so desperate for KT Rolster to try to take that fight. I mean, they had no right to try to walk in straight up, and trying to have Zeus go on a crazy solo queue mission around the edge. He arrived in the fight so late. There's no, you know, he set up for the fight so late. And there was just no follow-up because there was so much distance between him and the rest of the squad. DRX are going to try to push this into a Baron as well, and Zeus is so late to join. Once again, I don't think KT can contest this. I think they should just give this up.
Blank is going to look for the steal. He has ult and smite. Let's see if he can do it. They're going to CC him, and actually they're going to wait. They want to turn this fight around. They don't care about the Baron. Zeus gets that engage, and here we go. KT finally find an entrance in here. A double kill now for Blank as Doran baits in another one. Kingen is going to go down, so that is 3 for 0, but the Baron taken by DRX, and 2 members do survive with that buff.
Yeah, 2 members get the buff. They get the additional gold here as well. So yeah, negative Baron power play at the moment, but it's not all bad here for DRX, but it looked like a fight that KT had no business winning because they were so late to the party, but it was actually a really nice engage from Blank. You see the UCal's damage, and I'm sure we're going to get a replay of it as well, but UCal's damage in that pit is massive. And so suddenly, you know, KT Rolster deny the real Baron play, and then they're able to get objectives on the map themselves. I want to watch this again. This is Zeus's really hopeful engage. Look at how far away everybody is. Like, Hybrid, what's he going to do here? Like, he's looking at this, he's like, oh, I'm going to Void Seeker and walk away. Blank is running away. Like, this was really hopeful, and it felt like KT just couldn't identify early on that this was going to be unwinnable, and to try to take another objective. They didn't have teleport, they didn't have anybody else on the map. And look at Blank in this fight. So perfect how he just comes in here. And you see he gets stunned. They get the Baron, but the engage is so real. And Blank just comes in. There's no way out of this pit, gets the fear there. Traps the second member in. Doran's on the chase. He's got so many shields.
In live, we got mid-on-mid action. UCal gonna pick up a solo kill onto Orianna. That's pretty nice. They get that Baron buff away from the Orianna. Still, the push is strong into the mid lane, but that's a great pick here. I believe a little bit of a shutdown as well. Gonna go the way of UCal. I saw 500 gold pop up for him after that kill. And they trade turrets. KT finally, it looks like, I think, smartening up a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I think they were kind of like slapped alongside the head, and they were like, okay, I think I know what I'm doing here now.
Yeah.
They've seemed to balance themselves out a little bit and understand how to play this game now.
And the timing of that Baron fight was a little bit unfortunate for them, but they win it, then win that solo kill. We're going to watch this again, see how this actually unfolded. So UCal actually just goes onto him, just straight up Chaos Storm, and the Shockwave is just not enough to save him. That was just a straight up walk forward and press the buttons to kill him kind of moment. A little bit overzealous from Soka.
Yeah.
That's, it happens, you know?
Out there.
Yeah, it happens.
Sometimes you hide on bush and you get the kill, right?
Yep.
Learn from the best, does UCal. Oftentimes referencing Faker, of course, as somebody that he looks up to, wants to be on that level of greatness. And he's always trying to prove that, as we remarked on earlier in this game.
Well,
Still, that's a really nice pick off for him, and it's kind of going to even things up there and just give him even more golds to potentially carry this game.
DRX got the last Ocean Drake. They got the Baron, which ended up being like a negative 2200 gold Baron power play, so not so much power play. But they won 2 objectives. One of them they won by winning the team fight. The other they won by, you know, speed of rotation after the team fight. I mean, they were kind of tied together, right? But now KT have taken back control of the map. They have control over... Okay, well, this is a rough spot to be in if you're Kingen.
This is not how you win this game for DRX, although they are going to trade it there for Zeus. Eventually, they get him through, but Kingen is going to be engaged, and Doran is so massive in this front line. You've got a big horse, of course, as well, to follow up there. The Samira engage is going to do a lot of damage, but that is not enough, and DRX get caught out, and KT will push to win.
Yep, that's it. All it takes is one mistake, and that's what I was leading to before this happened, is they have vision control, they have map control. They're trying to clear out some wards on the Drake so they can look for that final Ocean Soul. And it just doesn't matter when you actually try to come in and just get caught with your pants down like Kingen does. That's not a tank that has a great escape, or that's not even a tank. It's a top laner that doesn't have an escape. It's Jace. you can't actually just face check like that. And that's game. That's the series. Yep. Attempt here by DRX was good. There are a few good fights for them, a few good objectives, but at the end of the day, some small mistakes leading to their demise.
Yeah, that's going to do it here. Becca, he's being generous today, or at least he was trying. Not going to